Nato meets Sui as the guy that no one ever notices. He is so indifferent to those around him that even now the girl does not know that he lies under her bed. Nato has been here so long that he can no longer feel his cheek and his body is numb. At some point Chihiro returns to the bedroom and not alone but with a man to make love. Nodo is forced to guess how this happens because she does this to another and he is forced to listen to all this and see the sagging mattress from childhood. Noda was a hermit at school. They did not pay attention to him and no one even noticed the absence of a guy in the graduation picker. One day at the university during a lecture, an unfamiliar girl decided to help him with the answer to the teacher's question and turned to Naodo by name. Taking this as a joyful event, he invited the girl to drink coffee. At first the dialogue did not work out, but at some point they started talking about fish and Chihiro began to listen with interest to Naodo, who knows everything about guppies. 11 years have passed since then, but the guy still remembers the girl and dreams of finding her using telephone directories and other information. He finds out exactly where his beloved lives and goes to her. Arriving in the city where Toyuro lives, the first thing Nayada did was to find her house. Dreaming of seeing the love of his life, he began to walk around, fantasizing for hours about how their first meeting in 11 years would go. At some point the girl left her house and without paying any attention to him passed by. Now she did not smell of perfume, and there was emptiness in her eyes. She seemed gloomy and sad, which upset Naodo very much. Wanting to be closer to his girlfriend and trying to understand the reason for a bad mood, the guy rented a room near her house on the ground floor. He decided to open an aquarium supply store, setting up a resident on the top floor. Nodo is literally obsessed with Chihiro and used the only memorable photo from college to enlarge and print the girl's face, decorating one of the walls with it. Dreaming of a meeting, the guy puts on a mannequin in the same dress as Chihiro wore at the first meeting and touches his chest, imagining that it is a girl immersed in the events of 11 years ago. Nato remembers how he came to the house of a classmate to give her guppy fish. She watched them with such interest that she did not notice how she accidentally touched the guy's hand with her chest. Now he is forced to watch her through the camera lens, sitting in his bedroom after studying her house and the rooms that are in it. Nodo realized that Chihiro has a husband and a little daughter whom she takes care of day and night. In the evening, while continuing to spy, the guy nervous as how the girl came out of the bathroom. At some point a towel falls from her and Naodo uses this moment to take some photos of a naked beauty. The observation continued for another 10 days without much change until Kintaro, Chihiro's husband, returned home from a business trip. During dinner, a man splashed a drink in his wife's face, then attacked her and knocking her to the floor, started kicking her. Naruto jumped up from discontent and indignation but realized that he was powerless in this situation and could not help his beloved girl in any way. The next morning the family behaved as usual, as if nothing had happened to them, but this is not at all the case because there are bruises on the girl's face. Admiring Chihiro's nude photos, now would have decided to send her a bouquet of flowers every 10th. Having prepared the first bouquet and signed the card, he left it on the threshold of the house in the hope that the girl would take the attention of a mysterious stranger. A little later, Naodo saw that she could not accept the bouquet and, avoiding scandal with her husband, threw it away. Admiring the fish, the guy remembers how he began to get involved in guppies and understands that it knows everything about them. At some point, Nodo visits his store with his little daughter. She still dreams of an aquarium and fish, but she has no money for it. A good-natured and generous seller is ready to provide free of charge not only an aquarium and a guppy but also a heater. Giving her decommissioned equipment, showing concern, Naodo not only provided all this but also helped bring it home, as well as ensure that Chihiro was not distracted from her daughter. As soon as the girl moved into another room, the guy stole the keys in order to make a duplicate and freely enter her house. Watching Chihiro, Naodo still doesn't understand if he needs her or if they will be happy together. At the same time, the guy probably knows that he is in love with her and wants to be as close as possible to the girl. After this, dismantling the lighter, he installs a listening device in it, after which she returns it to the girl's house. On the next 10th, he sends another bouquet, but Naoto again ignores and throws away the gift. In the evening, she meets her husband, who has returned from work. Falling on her knees in front of him, the girl kisses and licks his feet. Aroused, the husband kisses Chihiro. Continuing to endure all the bullying and humiliation, the girl continues to tell her husband that she loves him. To prove it, she kneels before him and gives enjoy to Kintaro. At some point, the guy plunges into painful memories and realizes that not a single person is able to live in complete isolation. He is an insect that lives under a rock and is the only one who is forced to exist like this all his life. Noto would have endured the loneliness because no one ever noticed him except for Chihiro, who called the guy by his name 11 years ago. Now he hears how Chihiro does dirty thing with her mouth and excited engages in having enjoy. After recording an audio recording of the girl's voice, Noto listens to it like a song, enjoying every word she says. As soon as Chihiro leaves the house, the guy enters the dwelling to change the battery in the listening device, clean the aquarium, and lie down on the bed where the girl sleeps. Realizing that she will be back soon, Nato hurries to leave the house but forgets the key. Returning back, he hears how the girl unlocks the door and hide in the kitchen. She notices a rocking baby seat and assumes someone is in the house, but is unable to search the premises as she feels unwell and nearly passes out. A couple of days later, an equally strange young man visits the seller of aquarium supplies. He buys one big fish in the hope that he can breed him. A little later, Chihiro comes to the store to buy guppy food. Noto invites her to drink a cup of Madeline, the girl's favorite type of coffee, which he remembers for 11 long years. The guy has the same feelings as then and kisses the cup. As soon as Chihiro returns home, the girl throws out the third bouquet again, so he decides to sneak into her house wearing an adult diaper. Naruto sneaks into the house of his beloved and hides under the bed. Sometime later, Chihiro and her husband return home and make love, unaware that there is a guy on the floor listening to it. All being only a meter from the girl, Nato dreams of touching her and sees how the mattress sags due to the fact that she frolics on it with another man. In the evening, Naruto crawls out from under the bed and continues to spy on the family when suddenly Kintaro returns to the bedroom. The man found a note from a flower bouquet and invited Chihiro to his place. Not wanting to hear excuses, her husband attacks her with his fists and hits her hard. Taro tries to drown his wife and Noto continues to do nothing, fearing the possible consequences for himself. Late at night, when Kintaro is already asleep, the guy crawls out from under the bed. Finding Chihiro in the bathroom, he pulls the girl out and lays her on the floor to wipe with his clothes and warm her up a bit. Through a dream, Chihiro feels that there is someone in the house because she is given flowers. Fish that have fallen asleep in eternal sleep are removed, and she constantly feels the presence of a stranger to her. Waking up on the floor in a blanket, the girl realizes that someone took care of her but does not understand who it could be. Once in the bedroom, she asks the stranger to show up, but Noto is asleep in his apartment and does not hear her. Immersed in the events of 11 years ago, the guy remembers how he came to visit Chihiro and met her jealous boyfriend. He attacked the girl and the guest with his fists, so Nato had to grab the heater and use it as a stun gun, hitting the jealous with an electric shock. After driving off the aggressive guy, Noto calmed down Chihiro, causing the couple to start kissing and make love while enjoying each other. Nato realizes that it's time to act again and buys a real stun gun, after which he hides in the house of his girlfriend. During dinner, Chihiro asks her husband to let her goad her mother as her father is sick and in the hospital. Outraged, Kantaro forbids his wife to go anywhere without his permission. When Chihiro starts arguing. He punches her in the face and humiliates her. Noto tries to taser him but is afraid to do so at the last moment. As a result, he is forced to see and hear how Kentaro, beloved girl, bringing her to her knees. Upon returning home, Nyodo weeps because of his cowardice and asks for forgiveness from the girl's portrait. Deciding to punish himself, the guide beats himself with a stun gun and loses consciousness. In the morning, Mitsushima breaks into a store saying that the fish fell asleep forever. A couple of hours later, Nato hears something going on in the house and sees Chihiro and her daughter getting into a car to leave this place for forever. He hurries after her, but the police stop him as the guy was at the crime scene. As it turned out, Miss Oshima lost control of himself and sent the manager's wife to the next world, who did not notice him immersed in the equally painful events of his life. Naruto remembers how his father locked him in the car and forgot when the guy was just a child, realizing that he is no better than a worm living under a rock. Nodo continues to torment himself, deciding not to fool himself anymore. He admits that all memories of Chihiro are false. In fact, they have never been on a date, never kissed, much less made love. After drinking coffee, he was supposed to come on Thursday with fish, but the girl did not let him on the threshold, refusing to meet. Now worthless and pathetic, Naoto is engaged in having enjoy looking at pictures of Chihiro because that's all he can. Furious from his helplessness, the guy destroys everything around, tearing the photo and breaking the mannequin. Meanwhile, a girl who escaped to a hotel finds a listening device and a lighter. As soon as she speaks to him, the husband knocks on the door. Having figured out his runaway wife after bringing her home, Kantaro attacks the unfortunate Chihiro and beats her up. The girl defends herself with a knife, but this does not stop him. At some point, the husband grabs a kitchen knife to send Chihiro to the next world. Naruto hid under the bed and hearing screams saved the girl at the last moment by hitting Kintaro with stun gun. Shigeru dreams of taking her husband's life, but Nodo does it instead of her, realizing that his life is worth nothing and the girl will not remember who he is. Nodo goes to the police station and confesses to the crime. At some point, Chihiro runs to the station and addresses the guy by his first name. She remembered who he was. Moreover, the girl managed to visit his apartment and find her photographs. Chihiro realized that this man genuinely loves her and tearfully realizes that Nito will go to jail. The guy is also crying, but with happiness because he is no longer alone.